Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to my respected lecturer, Mr. Ahmad Safwan bin Sulaiman. My name is Alifha Maharani Jison from TESL 3, intake of August 2025-2030. It is an honor to present my analysis today. We often hear the classic playground phrase, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." However, as we stand here in 2026, we know that it is simply no longer the reality for our students. In the digital age, a single caption, a single send button can shatter a child's sense of self and their security within the school community. In our modern classrooms, the blackboard has been replaced by the screen, and while technology connects our students in wonderful ways, it also creates new invisible battlegrounds for discipline. So, in my class 1 written assignment, I analyzed the distressing case at 𝐍𝐀𝐕𝐈𝐆𝐀𝐃 drama involving two standard 6 students, which are Mirza and Kaisara. Today, I am going to elevate that analysis beyond the paper. I'll demonstrate how grammar, specifically the strategic use of register, the psychological power of the subjunctive mood, and the calculated objectivity of the passive voice isn't just linguistic requirement for an exam, but a professional necessity for the modern educator. By the end of this 15-minute session, I hope to prove to you that the way we structure our sentence can literally rebuild a child's sense of safety. With that, let's begin our journey into grammar as restorative force. To ensure we navigate this topic with the depth and clarity it deserves, I've organized my presentation into 9 key segments. We'll start by revisiting the incident to understand the human side of the crisis, because grammar never exists in vacuum. It exists in lives. I'll specifically touch upon the nature of cyberbullying in primary schools, such as this was the catalyst for the event. Then, I'll introduce a framework I've developed for teacher trainees, which are the dual register approach. The core of my presentation will then deep dive into 4 specific grammatical features that were instrumental in solving this case. I'll explain the logical architecture behind my classic choices, and finally, I'll conclude with a reflection on how this task was fundamentally shaped my identity as a future English educator. Each step is designed to show how grammar functions as a living, breathing tool in our schools, capable of both documenting facts and healing hearts. I invite you to keep in mind throughout this talk that language is the only tool that can reach where teachers' physical presence cannot, like in the digital world. Moving on, we are going to look at the incident and the cyberbullying context. Let's look at the anatomy of this crisis. So, I want you to imagine a busy Wednesday morning in the school hall. The standard 6 students are practicing their traditional dance for the upcoming culture showcase. It is a moment of energy, culture, and joy, of course. But in a quiet corner, Mirza takes a candid photo of Kaisara. He intentionally adds derogatory, hurtful caption. He later claimed that the picture was for private amusement among few friends. However, as researchers like Dana Boyd 2014 have noted, privacy in the digital age is essentially an illusion. That private image was pre-recorded, and within hours it exploded across multiple student WhatsApp groups. We must understand that cyberbullying is fundamentally different from traditional playground bullying. It is permanent, it is viral, and it follows the victim into their home. Kaisara wasn't just bullied at school, she was bullied in her bedroom, her phone, and her safe space. And by the next morning, the school felt the tremor, whereby the students were distracted, whispering during the lessons, and sharing the file under their desks. The impact was immediately whereby Kaisara's parents were in the office, their voices trembling with worry and anger. Their daughter refused to attend school, terrified of the humiliation. Therefore, me as a teacher trainee on the wellbeing committee, I realized my response had to be multidimensional. I had to document the cold facts for the school board, but I also had to use the language to deconstruct the toxic culture Mirza had created. This is the moment where grammar in context becomes a teacher's in shield and bridge. Next, we will have a look on the framework, which is the dual register approach. To address this crisis effectively, I had to be what I call a linguistic chameleon. I had to navigate 2 entirely different worlds. First, I had to produce an administrative incident report for the school headmaster. This demanded a high-level formal register, which characterized by precision, naturality, and calculated distance. This is the language of the institution designed to provide a secure record of the cyberbullying event. On the other hand, I had to facilitate a restorative conference. This is demanded by an empathetic pedagogical register, characterized by warmth, open dialogue, and reflection. This is the language of the classroom. According to the Michael Halliday's theory of the systemic functional linguistics, our choice of register is determined by the field, standard, and mode of the situation. In this presentation, I will show you that a teacher's register is their most powerful classroom management tool. It allows us to be firm when documenting facts for the record, yet soft when mending the hearts of our students. We are not just correcting sentences, we are choosing the right persona through our language in achieving specific social goals. Then we'll move on into analysis 1, which is objectivity through reported speech. First, let us look at the former report. In institutional writing, the teacher must adopt the role of an invisible narrator. To achieve this, I relied heavily on reported speech. Think about the sentence I used. Kaisara's mother reported that her daughter was being humiliated. So, why did I choose this over saying the mother was angry? Well, it is simple. Because me, as a teacher, my professional duty is to report evidence, not project my own interpretation of emotions. This shift from the direct to reported speech is absolutely crucial for maintaining what Norris 2023 calls professional neutrality. By using reporting verbs like asserted, claim, and disclose, I am distancing myself from the accusation while still presenting them for the record. As Chelsea Moria and Larson Freeman 2023 suggests, reported speech allows for factual representation of events while maintaining the necessary formal distance. This protects the school legally and ensures that the disciplinary process is based on objective data rather than my own personal bias. It shows management that I am a professional who values accuracy over hearsay, which is a key trait for any aspiring educator. Okay, then we'll go to analysis 2, which is the agentless passive voice. In the same report, I utilized the agentless passive voice. Take a look at the second sentence. The responsibility was assigned to investigate the matter. I deliberately removed the agent, which is the person who gave me the task. In the world of school administration, the process of justice and investigation is often more important than the specific person initiating it. Using the passive voice creates an official tone that resonates with authority. It suggests that the school is a stable, functioning system that works automatically to protect its students. As Bieber and his colleagues in 2021 said in their grammatical research, the passive voice is a hallmark of professional registers because it prioritizes the action over the actor. This is grammar in action, which is the ability to use voice to shift the audience focus. I didn't want the headmaster to focus on our private conversation, but instead I wanted him to focus on the fact that an investigation was officially and seriously underway. This choice reinforces the teacher identity as a representative of the institution rather than just an individual employee. And third, analysis, which is mediating with reported questions. Now, let's transition from the cold office of the headmaster to the warmth of the mediation room. Here, direct questions can feel like interrogation, causing a student to shut down or become defensive. So, how do we prevent this? To prevent this, I use reported questions utilizing the word whether or if clauses. Instead of asking Mirza a direct, piercing question like, "Why did you do it?" which almost always invites a defensive line, I asked Mirza whether he had considered the feelings of his classmates. This grammatical structure is significantly softer. It invites the student to look back at his own thoughts, at his own thoughts as if looking in a mirror. It creates what Dumanit and David 2020 call a reflective space in discourse. So, by reporting the question rather than asking it directly, I'm facilitating a dialogue rather than conducting a trial. This linguistic choice is what allows a teacher trainee to build a bridge of trust with a student, even in the heat of conflict. It proves that grammar can be a sophisticated tool for escalation and emotional intelligence. For analysis 4, which is the subjective and empathy, the turning point of the entire intervention and perhaps the most powerful moment of this case study was the use of second conditional. I guided Mirza toward the subjunctive mode. I asked him to reflect. If you're the person in that photograph, how would you feel? This is what I call the grammar of empathy. The second conditional is specifically used for hypothetical, other situations in the present or the future. By using the verb instead of was, we create a powerful imaginative leap. Mirza is forced to step out of his own ego into 𝐃𝐈𝐆𝐈𝐍𝐆 pain. As pedagogical researchers suggest, the ability to hypothesize about others' feelings is a key component of social-emotional learning. It moved Mirza from a place of dismissal, which saying it was just a joke, to a place of realization, which is, if I were her, I would feel embarrassed and scared. This proves that grammar is not just about syntax, it is about the human connection. We are using the rules of language to teach deeper rules of humanity and social responsibility. Alright, now we will look at onto the cohesion, which is the architecture of logic. None of the grammar points that I have mentioned were in isolation. They need glue to hold them together into a persuasive argument. I used cohesive devices to ensure my logic was undeniable. In my report, the marker consequently linked the digital bullying to the physical absence of the student, proving cause and effect. In my conference, furthermore was used to expand on the school's digital values. In this presentation today, you will notice my constant use of discourse markers like moving on to or in contrast to. These are not fillers. As Google 2022 notes, these markers are signposts that show the speaker is in complete control of the narrative. They help my audience, which is in this case my lecturer, follow the complex journey from a viral photo to a restored classroom. For an Ivy League trainee like me, mastering these markers is the difference between a simple speech and a sophisticated professional performance. It shows that our thinking is as organized as our language. We are constructing a professional case. And lastly, I will do some professional reflection and conclusion. As I conclude this 15-minute journey, I will want to reflect on the heart of this entire task. We often think of grammar as something we teach to students for an exam, or something that we check for errors in an essay. But this case study has shown me that grammar is something we use as teachers to survive and thrive in our careers. And when we look at cyberbullying, we are looking at the failure of empathy in the digital space. My written report used formal grammar to protect the institution's integrity and provide a clear, objective record of the failure. My mediation, however, used empathetic grammar to restore that empathy and protect the child's well-being. This experience has fundamentally transformed my understanding of grammar in context. It is no longer a dry subject in my textbook, but it is the framework of my professional identity. And so, as I transition into my future role as an educator, I recognize that my words were the environment in which my students learn. If I speak with precision, they learn clarity. If I speak with empathy, they learn kindness. And if I am careful with my register, I'm pretty sure they will learn the value of social context. I want to thank Mr. Ahmad Safwan for challenging us to look deeper into these linguistic choices. I am now confident that when I enter my future school, I won't just be an English teacher, but I'll also be a guardian of school culture through the power of precise, empathetic, and professional language. The digital world may be vast and often cruel, but with the right grammar, we can create a classroom that is safe, restorative, and kind. With that, I would like to thank you for your time, for your attention, and for joining me in this exploration of grammar in action. I hope this has been as enlightening for you as it was for me. Thank you.